We have with us on the broadcast Bansuri Swaraj, who is Secretary of the Delhi BJP, and Dr. Pooja Tripathi, who's spokesperson of the Congress Party. Thank you so much for joining us here on the broadcast. Let me begin with Bansuri Swaraj. My first question to you is there a move to bring a bill, and why has a panel been set up now?
Ashnaji, I think the panel has been set up to basically explore the feasibility, and it is a consensus building exercise. As you know, that one nation, one election is something which has been happening since 1951 to 52. In 1957 as well, these were the years when the Lok Sabha and the assembly elections in the country took place simultaneously. In 1968 and in 1969, few of the assemblies were dissolved earlier. And in 1970, the Lok Sabha itself was dissolved earlier before it completed its tenure. Therefore, this cycle of one nation, one election was disturbed. Now, the Honorable Prime Minister has been advocating for one nation, one election right since 2016. As you're aware, the Niti Aayog in 2017 presented a report. The Law Commission also presented a report in 2018 itself. And then this aspect of one nation, one election was repeated by 2019. Today, just a panel has been formed. Obviously, nothing will happen unless consensus has been formed. Now, why is this happening? Because as per the 2018 Law Commission report itself, one nation, one election is in the best interest of the country. Why? Because first, it brings down expenses. It has financial concerns. You will be appalled to know that in 2019 Lok Sabha elections, 6 crore rupees were spent on the Lok Sabha elections. Includes the expenditure for all the political parties as well as by the Election Commission of India. Second, it will also bring down the burden on the administrative setup of the country as well as the security forces of the country. Because what is happening is, as a nation, we have become a country that is perpetually in election mode. Development work gets stopped every time there is code of conduct. It hinders. And therefore, if you have one election in the entire country, one nation, one election will ensure that implementation of government policy actually happens in a seamless fashion. And therefore, it is good for the country, not only one on financial concerns, it brings down the burden on the administrative setup, it brings down the burden on the security forces, as well as it ensures that development work continues seamlessly. And finally, it is a known fact that if you have one election across assemblies as well as for the union government, then the voter turnout is more, because you don't want that electoral fatigue to set in amongst the nation.
Right.
But I must say that today we have set up a panel. The government has set up a panel under the under the leadership of former President Kovind, who has a stellar career and tremendous legislative and electoral experience. He's the correct candidate for this. And right now, it is just a consensus building and an exploratory exercise.
Right. Let me also get in Dr. Pooja Tripathi. Dr. Pooja Tripathi, what is your stand on this entire matter on one nation, one poll, and also your reaction on the central government setting up a panel for it?
Ashna, central government did set up a panel with President Kovind as its convener. We want to know who are the committee members who will be consulting states on which need to be dissolved first and which will go into which will have an extension of their state assembly. We want to know the the basic intricacies of all the bill that the government plans to introduce into the special session, and that then Congress Party would be in a better position to come in. Coming to federalism, Indian states are they're a costly body of conflicting ethnicity, religions, political aspirations, unique voices pertaining to their culture. And that's why federalism was put in constitution in the basic structure, to give a voice to their unique regional identities. To centralize and to homogenize with them with one nation, one election I'm sitting in Chhattisgarh at this moment. Chhattisgarh is a primarily an agricultural state, which is very different from what Delhi is, what J&K is, what Maharashtra is. So having a one nation, one poll is detrimental to the federal structure of constitution, and that's what we believe in.
Right. Let me get in fact, Bansuri Swaraj on this. Bansuri Swaraj, there's a lot of talk about, this move having the possibility of diminishing opportunities for regional parties. What is your take on that?
I think that's a completely unfounded concern. In fact, as Ms. Tripathi was saying, but I want to say that Ms. Tripathi, it is the Congress party itself that was holding the union elections and the assembly polls between 1951, 52, 57, 1962, 67. It is only when in 1968 and 69, when certain assemblies were dissolved earlier, and when in 1970, the Congress party dissolved the Lok Sabha earlier, that the rhythm of having one election in the entire country was disturbed. So to actually cry foul on federalism is an unfounded concern. Now, regarding regional parties, again, Ashna ji, these are all conjectures. These are mere speculations. When you have an election, whether you have it simultaneously or you have it distinctly, the local issues or the state-related issues, or as Dr. Tripathi was talking about, cultural issues in Chhattisgarh, they don't die down. And the electorate of India is very, very intelligent. They know that what are the national issues, what are the state issues, what are the local issues. And when you go in campaigning, every aspect of whether it is local issues or it is national issues will be discussed in campaign threadbare. So to say that this is anti-federal or it is against the constitution, in my opinion, is conjecture, and it's an unfounded concern.
Bansuri Swaraj, Dr. Pooja Tripathi will really have to wait and watch how things really pan out and unfold. Thanks very much for joining us here on the broadcast.